She smiled. It was the same smile I used to wake up to, only now it was shining in someone else's direction. The curve of her lips, the light in her eyes, it was all exactly the same. Yet, somehow, none of it belonged to me anymore. Across the street, through the window of the cafe that once held the sound of our laughter and the weight of our secrets, I saw her sitting with him. That place had once been ours. We filled it with shared dreams, quiet confessions, and stolen moments. Now it had become hers with someone new. Her laughter rose into the air, her head tilted back, her eyes sparkling, and something inside me quietly broke. Not with the dramatic sound of a shattered heart from some movie, but in the silent way an old building slowly gives in to time and gravity. I hadn't gone there to find her. I wasn't looking for her. Fate, cruel as always, had placed me directly in front of what I wasn't prepared to see. Still, I stayed longer than I should have, secretly hoping she might notice me among the crowd. She didn't. Instead, he reached across the table, placed his hand over hers, and she allowed it to remain there without hesitation. That was when I finally understood. We weren't stuck somewhere between together and apart. We weren't taking time away from each other. We weren't trying to understand what had happened. We were over. I turned away, every step feeling heavier, as though an anchor had been fastened to my chest. Breathing became harder and heavier, but the tears never came. There was only that suffocating numbness that makes every sound and color feel distant. My thoughts returned to the night she left. She told me we had drifted too far apart, that we no longer felt like ourselves. Maybe she had been right. We didn't dance barefoot in the kitchen anymore. We didn't reach for each other's hands during long drives. We didn't randomly say I love you just because we felt it. I blamed the endless hours at work. She blamed bad timing. Neither of us blamed love, perhaps because it had already begun to fade, and we were both too afraid to admit it. So when she packed her bags, I didn't stop her. I didn't beg her to stay. I simply stood there in silence, hoping she would turn around at the last possible moment. She never did. The apartment seemed to swallow me whole, the creaking floors, the sunlight pouring too brightly through the windows, even the faint trace of her perfume. All of it became another painful reminder. At midnight, I still checked my phone, waiting for a message I knew would never come. Days blurred into weeks, and weeks slowly became months. I tried to distract myself with dates, conversations, and unfamiliar faces, but none of them were hers. And that was exactly the problem. I wasn't meant to replace her. I was meant to move past her. Yet somehow, I couldn't. Seeing her with someone else was supposed to give me closure. I thought the painful truth would finally cut the last thread connecting us. Instead, it changed the shape of the wound and left it aching in an entirely different way. I pulled away from the world. After that, I deleted apps, avoided familiar streets, and started going to different coffee shops. I wasn't only trying to escape her. I was trying to escape the version of myself who had loved her too deeply. Then, one evening, the sky seemed to tear open. Rain came down heavily and without mercy, soaking everything in its path. I walked home drenched, my hood pulled tight, my thoughts somewhere far away. That's when I heard it. My name, spoken softly, shakily, and with a voice I knew too well. I turned, and there she was across the street, her hair stuck against her face, her eyes fixed on mine as though time itself had suddenly folded back on itself. She whispered my name again, louder this time, almost as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. My God, it's really you. I didn't move. I couldn't. For a moment, I wasn't sure whether I was awake or trapped inside some cruel dream. She came closer, rain and tears mixing together on her cheeks. "I've been looking for you," she said. 1,000 questions burned inside me. Why now? Why after all this time? Why after I'd seen you with him? But before I could ask any of them, she spoke. "I saw you at the cafe." Her voice trembled. I didn't know what to say. "You looked happy." "I wasn't," I admitted. Her eyes dropped toward the ground. "Neither was I," she whispered. "I pretended for weeks, but it never felt real." "Then, why?" I asked, my voice barely holding steady. "Because I thought you'd moved on. You let me go so easily. I thought maybe I had imagined everything. Maybe what we had wasn't as real to you as it had been to me." Her breath shook. "I loved you. I still love you. I just didn't know whether you wanted me back." Her confession remained between us in the storm, fragile and painfully honest. She looked at me, guilt and hope fighting inside her eyes. I was wrong. I walked away believing I would find something better. But all I found was how deeply I missed you. The silence that followed wasn't the cruel silence we had once shared. This one was heavy with everything we had left unsaid. Finally, I found my voice. I waited. Not because I believed you would return, but because I never learned how to let you go. She stepped closer, her voice breaking. "Then don't. Not this time. I want us to start again, if you'll let me." And there she stood. The same woman who had once broken me, now trembling beneath the rain, asking me to believe in us one more time. Forgiveness is never easy. Trust doesn't simply return. But love doesn't truly disappear. Sometimes it hides waiting for the right moment to rise back to the surface. Maybe this was that moment. Maybe the storm wasn't the ending after all, but the beginning. I reached for her hand, and for the first time in months, the rain no longer felt cold.